Just after 5:30, sun is setting in the west. Temperature is about 54 degrees in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I'm going to tell you, the sunrises in Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, on the east coast of Florida are really beautiful. And when I first moved down to Florida, the first morning I woke up, I shot a video, and I mean, living in DC, I was like, I hadn't seen a sunrise like that since I'd been in New Mexico, and that's a completely different kind of sunrise. But um, I'm going to be, I don't know. I don't know whether I should wait for people to get in here. I think during this time of day, a lot of people are watching other people. They're looking at other stuff. And I've only got 1,300 some subscribers, so it's entirely likely that you know I really shouldn't expect anybody to join this. So I'm going to relocate to kind of northern central Florida. I have a relative who doesn't buy into the BS. It's my aunt. She has property up there. She has means of self-defense and such, and we have a lot in common. So, if I'm still on this website, I'll be making videos, and most likely I'll be making some videos about the Russian variant of the long rifle. Which maybe some sidearms. I don't know. Have an opportunity to, I'm a rather inexperienced firearms user. Haven't used one since 2010, April, May. It's a perishable skill. I heard when I woke up today that there was smoke coming from behind the Capitol, and immediately I'm looking for evidence of this. And there's a live stream from National Airport in Virginia of the Capitol that's it's one of those websites that just does live streams of locations. And so I went to that, and I didn't see anything coming up from the back of the Capitol. And I looked all over the place looking for evidence of this, of smoke coming up from behind the Capitol, and I didn't see it. I see there's one person watching. Is that me? I guess it must be me, but it doesn't work that way. Just a live stream, passing the time. I'm going to go to an open mic and play tonight. I'm probably going to ask somebody to shoot some video. My 15-minute set is probably going to be, I'm probably going to play, there's a lot of covers I like to play, aside from my original songs. But what I do when I play my stuff is I have a Bluetooth speaker, a JBL Bluetooth speaker that I connect to my phone, and I accompany that, and I harmonize with the guitar parts and just add another guitar track to it. Some of the covers that I do at open mics are like Billy Idol stuff, Bob Dylan, Rockin' in the Free World. I like to do the theme from 28 Days Later. That's a very hard song to play correctly. The XX song called Intro, that's an electronica song. It's very simple. It's got two chords in the whole thing, A minor and F major. And it's a very dramatic song, but it's great. It's got a lot of room in it for dynamics, playing chords and playing quick solos, not dominating the composition, but enhancing it and supporting it, and taking certain segments with solos and accentuating some kind of emotive feeling. You know, that's one of the things about, to be a good guitar player. You don't want to dominate when you're accompanying. You want to support the composition. You want to blend with the bass and the rhythm. You want to blend with the rhythm section, with the drums and bass, and tonally and harmonically. When you approach your solo, you want to be very, very sparing with your musical words, and you want to emote some kind of passion. And I mean, technically as a guitar player, I'm not very good, but I mean, self-critique, you know, I'm saying, I mean, I'm good at playing with emotion. I'm good at playing guitar with emotion. That's one of my things. Now, on the technical side, I'm not, I mean, I practice scales and arpeggios and economy picking and stuff, but I mean, I love guitar. I mean, there's really no other way to say what music is to me. I love playing music. So I had two people watching there for a second. Now I still have one person. Now I haven't seen any data on how many military personnel are on the Hill. I have no idea. Are in the district of whatever. I used to. The first time I went to the Capitol, I was a bike courier. It was probably 1987, and I started in 1987 as a bicycle messenger in Washington D.C. And there was a lot of work. You're going to be on your bike, you know, 8 or 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. And the first like month was extraordinarily grueling because I had never done it. I mean, I'd ridden bicycles before, but I needed a job, and I did not want to work in an office after working at Time Life Books. I worked at Time Life Books, and I used to sell the books on the phone. And I had a lot of friends who were bicycle messengers. So I took the job because I had a lot of friends that did it. And there was a core crowd of bike messengers that have been doing it for 10, 15 years. If you can imagine living in traffic, you know, I learned a lot. I learned from the best bike messengers in Washington, D.C. in the 80s. I mean, these people, they hauled ass, man, and they rode track bikes, you know, fixed gear bicycles. You know, the first bike I used was a Raleigh. I had about 350 bucks, and I bought a really good Raleigh aluminum frame mountain bike. And my first week, not only was I acclimating my body into living on a bicycle, you know, to make money and delivering envelopes and boxes, but I learned from other bicycle messengers on how to stay dry in the rain. You know, you don't need to buy neoprene socks. You get the plastic shopping bags, you know, the bags you get at the store, and you put them in between your socks and your shoes. You put a rubber band around your ankle, keeps your feet dry. Now, of course, your feet are gonna stink, but hey, do you want dry feet, or do you want to feel like you're walking around with bologna in your shoes? You know, but you know, back to the Capitol. The first time I went into the Capitol, I had to deliver something. I don't even remember, but I got lost in the Capitol. It was really funny. And back then in '87, you know, I mean, things had happened prior there. But I mean, you know, you go through a checkpoint, go through a metal detector, empty your pockets and whatnot. You know, you find out where the room is, and immediately when I left the guard station, I'm walking into the Capitol. The first thing that happened to me was I got lost because the Capitol, I swear to God, it's an architectural monstrosity. It's like constructed to confuse you. And and now if you go in the Longworth building, you go in the Rayburn building, you go into the heart of the Dirksen building, Senate or the House, any of those buildings on the left or the right side, if you're looking at the I think the west side of the Capitol, you got the House and you got the Senate on the right. And those buildings are really easy to navigate because, you have B104 and you have four or six floors and it's real easy. But the Capitol is all over the place. And I'm walking around with my satchel on my back and my radio on my chest. And I'm like walking around and I'm looking for this room. And I think it was something from uh, I don't think it was going to anything that I can recall right now, but I got lost. And I'm like thinking to myself, what happened last week? Those people would have needed help. But see, I went in an entrance for messengers. Back then they had an entrance for messengers. My dispatcher told me specifically where to go, and it was on the Senate side. And I go through the checkpoint, and I'm like, okay. And I asked the Capitol policeman. I said, I'm going to this room, and I show him my manifest, and I said, I'm going to this room. It's for this person, and I still got lost. I mean, I got in an elevator. I must have got off on the wrong one. But I made the delivery and whatnot. And now I don't know if I got 4 people watching. Anybody there ever been to the Capitol and been inside it? It's a monstrosity. I mean, it's like it's like how they think. They want to confuse you right in your face. But there is a concourse that leads down to a tram that goes underground. One time I rode on that, and that was pretty wild. Now, I've seen it used in a couple of movies. I can't remember movies in the 70s. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't have a police escort back then. Basically, I had a friend who we were going to the Department of Energy, and this was a good friend of mine. He's since died, but a guy from Maine, and he rode a track bike, a fixed gear, and fixed gear bike messengers, they're badass because you can't go to a baby gear, granny gear when you're going uphill. These guys would go uphill in one gear. But at any rate, we're going into the Department of Energy, and he's going in with me, and he had a sheet of something. I don't know if I can circumlocute my language to get this on television, but he had a sheet of paper. You know what I mean? Had a sheet of paper. Anyway, for something that you eat and changes your perception of reality. And it was like gold and stuff. And the guard at the checkpoint opened his bag and pulled it out, and it was wrapped in cellophane. And he goes, "What's this?" And he goes, "Oh, that's a Christmas card." And he just put it back in and said, "Go on." Department of Energy. I've been to Washington Pest was 15th and L. The Washington Pest has since moved. I went to a lot of places. The Rand Corporation. I went into a lot of military contractor companies, delivered a lot. Now, one delivery I had was really, really weird. And let me explain this to you. I picked up at Anheuser-Busch. I picked up an envelope at Anheuser-Busch at 14th and Pennsylvania Avenue. And I took it to Capitol Hill. And it was an envelope like this. Hi, are we? Yeah, I'm just talking about that for now. You want me to talk about something else? Yeah, exactly, Tommy. Exactly. Um, I'm glad I could get that across. So I had this pickup at Anheuser-Busch. Now, when you went in Anheuser-Busch in their lobby, they had a round table of all this food that you could take. And Philip Morris gave out cigarettes. I remember in 1984 downtown, they had people on the corners giving out packs of Merits. No kidding. But at any rate, I had this envelope and I forgot about it. I forgot about this envelope. Um, anyway, I got home that night and I got a call on my radio. I put my radio on my charger and my radio chirps and I'm like, "What's up?" And my dispatcher was really mad that that envelope did not get delivered. And he said, "Well, we're going to have to, you know, it's a financial matter and it has to be taken care of." And I was like, "Whoa." He said, "Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it." So I opened up the envelope, which was stupid. It was a check and it was going to the Capitol. It was a check for $64,000 going from Anheuser-Busch to the government. Payoffs, bro. Now, in the late 80s, I know that Anheuser-Busch was really worried about a certain plant that people smoke and being in competition because they wanted people to get drunk. They didn't want people to, talk to Wilbur or whatever. Oh, I'm glad you got something. Okay. So anyway, I think that I was a cog in the machine for payoffs. Okay. Now back in 1987, you can't fax a check. A corporation can't fax a check in that manner. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there wasn't anything in there except a check, and there wasn't any paper with it to inform the recipient of what it was for. And over the past couple, 30 years or so, I've kind of come to the conclusion that I was being used as a pawn to pay off somebody, the recipient on the Hill from Anheuser-Busch. Also, another anecdotal story about being a bike courier. I think it was early in the dead of winter, and let me tell you, it was cold and friggin' sleet. And I would work in that weather because we got double pay. And I was in the Longworth building, and I was covered in ice. I was covered in ice, and the Longworth dining hall is where well, I don't want to sound like somebody else that we probably all know, but all the somebodies, all these people are having a banquet, right? And I'm in the hallway, and they had these tables full of pastries and chili and cauldrons of chicken soup and all these cookies, and they had a cauldron of hot coffee. And that was right around when hazelnut was becoming real big. And I smelled hazelnut, and I'm like, and this woman who was a waitress, she was a Hispanic lady. She said, "You want coffee?" She said, "You look terrible and cold." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So she took an extra large styrofoam cup for me, and she filled it with cream and hot hazelnut coffee. And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And her boss comes up and says, "You can't do that. That's for senators and congressmen." She took it from her and poured it in the trash. That's government. That's government. That's what our government is. Yeah, you know what that is. And I was like, I mean, I went back out into the sleet and the 29-degree whatever weather, and I was just like looking up at the sleet coming out of the gray sky, and I was like, "Is this what you have for me, God? Is this what you know?" But then again, I had some great, around the holidays, we would get tips from law firms. Like if I would go to, I can't remember their names, Miles and Stockbridge, I would get a $10 tip from the receptionist, just because we were working hard. You know, and you know, when I live somewhere, I always tip my mail carrier. I always do around Christmas. You know, I leave a $10 bill, and I would put it in my mailbox, and I'd say, for my postal carrier, thank you, Daryl Willis. You know, I put it in there for them. You know, or I'd give it to them when that, you know, if I was able to, because you know, I tip. I tip people who work hard. Um, yeah, exactly. Throwing coffee in the trash is sacrilege. Um, I watched some really good live streams today. Uh, Blind Justice. There's a guy who lives up in Canada. I can't remember his name. He's going off grid, and he was talking about that. Um, but I think the point of why I'm sharing all these experiences with Capitol Hill is that it's not. I know we all know this, but it's not for the people, by the people. You know, that's, you know, and the way things are going, you know, me moving and relocating, you know, I mean, Maka Electric. You know, I really last night Show Me Baby was mentioning Maka, and I've been subscribed to Maka for like 12 years. I don't know how long. And you know, when Maka does the Jericho report every Sunday, I'm on that. I'll watch it. I'll see the link on Twitter. He'll tweet it out, and I'll watch it. Um, but you know, I don't have a lot of money, but a lot of people. I mean, I've given here and there. I've given, you know, $5 to people who produce content that is informative and isn't influenced by Big Brother, and that's where it's at, man. You know, I mean, there was somebody the other day was saying it's time to stop watching the mainstream media, and that was the first time that I agreed with that, because I've always watched a little bit of it so that I can understand what their BS line is. You have to know what the lies are in order to know what the truth is. You know, you have to know what the chicanery is to know where the responsible behavior is. So, but I totally, I mean, I get nauseous when I've been watching a lot of these videos lately from going from CBS, and I'll see the thumbnail and I'll read the title and I'll go, I don't know if I want to watch that. Now, I watched the video. They're putting concertina wire, they're putting razor wire on top of the blockades around the Capitol. And yeah, the TerraVision sets, or the Television. And they're putting concertina wire, razor wire, on top of the barricades. Now, somebody in the comments said that the razors are faced inward. And I'm like, and some people were saying that they're going to turn the Capitol into a prison. That's why they have the black sites. That's why they have the FEMA camps. Now, I think that razor wire is pointed outwards. Yeah, that's, you know, that's sacred ground. No, 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 no. And the military sleeping on the floor of the, that makes me wonder what are they? It's like it shows and reflects the lack of like these people who are serving. Well, they're not really serving our country. They're you know, they're supporting banks and multinational corporations, but you know, making them sleep on the floor. I think that was just, I don't, you know, those in the power are not going to do that. I think that they were just, you know, it is. I don't know. The video was shot from across the street. I don't think the military is letting them, like Rupley or RT, they're not letting them get close. Now, if one of those super shill media outlets is shooting inside that perimeter, somebody, or if I'll look, but I don't want to watch the super shill networks, but I'm concerned. That's an important point of which way that razor wire is pointed is a good clue. I know it sounds like minutia, but I think that that's important to observe. I got hit by a car three. Second time was a cab driver, because cab drivers at that time hated bike couriers because we were making cash. We were making $400 or $500 a week when those guys are, stuck in a car, sitting down, having to buy gas. And the third time I didn't get hit, but I got doored. Doored is when you're going along and someone opens a car door and you hit that door. I was going up a little incline in front of the National Press building, and this cab driver stopped a whole lane because I was on the right, and he stopped a whole lane away from the curb, and the back door opened, right? And I hit the door and I went over my handlebars. And I broke my collarbone. And guess what it was? It was a DOT administrator. Now, you think that DOT fella would know better than to open a door in traffic? There wasn't any cars in that lane. I was passing on the right, which isn't really very legal. But, I got his card, and I took the ambulance, and I got a little bit of money. That was not fun. I was out of work for about 2 months with a busted collarbone. I had my left arm immobilized, in a sling, and couldn't play guitar. And yeah. But the other times, they were just, yeah. I'm not going to let that comment show, but I got you, Tommy. I see what you said. I don't want to. Well, I'll show it. What the hell? I'm not for censorship. I don't like censorship, man. I don't like censorship, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. But when somebody attacks me, and then I mute them, and then they give me a hard time, and they say I don't like that I'm pro censorship. No, you're giving me a fucking hard time, and you're putting diarrhea on my plate, and I'm not going to eat it. That's all simple as that. So, Washington, D.C. My memories of D.C. are not all, I played in bands. I played in a lot of bands, and I almost made it to the big time. My band in 1989, we almost got signed to Geffen Records. And my drummer and bass player, they lived with their parents, dude. And, I was paying my own rent and buying my own toilet paper, right? And we got a letter back from David Geffen. We sent him 4 songs. We spent $4,000 in the recording studio recording 4 songs for our demo on 24 track. And that's a lot of money back then. And when we were preparing the demo, it was on cassette, and we sent it to Chrysalis. We sent it to Geffen. We sent it, because we wanted to make it in music, not show business. We wanted to make it in music. And my buddies had no ambition. And I said, hey, look, don't send these record companies more than 1 or 2 songs, because when they send us a letter back, we'll have 2 more songs that are really good recordings that we can back up what we do. But no, they sent all 4 songs on the cassette. We had nothing else to send them but basement tapes and live recordings of gigs. So I made a cassette of the best recordings I could find, and we never heard back from them. You know what my bass player did? He framed the letter we got back from Geffen Records. He framed it and put it on his wall. I was like, what the he and I, we got along great because he was a really good bass player, and he listened really well while he played. He could jam really well. That's the key to jamming, being able to listen while you play. But that band, Interval, was our band, and we played before King's X. We played before Living Color. We played before Country Joe and the Fish. We played before a lot of up-and-coming bands. We played at a lot of places that are gone now. I think all the bars we played at are gone now. We played in Austin, Texas for a week. That was real fun. I love Austin, Texas. Yeah, yeah. I met a really cool girl down there. Boy, she was a waitress in. Yeah, I met a really cool girl down there. Boy, she was a waitress in a bar we were playing in. I think it was called the Black Crow or something. It was right on that main bar line, that main bar drag in Austin. Um, it's okay, man. I'm not going to tell anybody how they should speak. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm really glad I started playing guitar. I mean, in 1978 was a 79. I don't know. I went to see Ted Nugent. Okay, and I'd never seen Ted Nugent, and it was in Largo, Maryland, at the Capitol Center. And this is not a kids stream, folks. I went to see Ted Nugent, and guess who warmed up for Ted Nugent? Anybody want to guess who warmed up for Ted Nugent? Anybody want to guess? Take a guess. Van Halen. I had never heard of Van Halen. The album had been out for 8 months or something. And when I heard Eddie Van Halen and I saw him with that black and white striped guitar and the way he played, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a musician. And I didn't see a rock star in Eddie Van Halen. I saw a musician. He was playing guitar like nobody else before, So that's what made me want to play guitar, because my mother was a jazz vocalist and my stepdad was a jazz piano player. And my mom wanted to know what I wanted to play. By golly. Now, when I met Eddie Van Halen, the last time I met him in 2015, he got inducted into the Smithsonian, the Museum of American History, because he was Dutch. Him and his brother and family came over on a boat from the Netherlands when they were like 5 and 6 years old. And he really was self-made. I mean, the guy changed guitar simply because he was chasing tone. He was constantly doing things to his amp because he couldn't afford effects pedals. So he was changing the voltage 50-cent piece that had been in my family for over 100 years. And I said, no, I want you to keep this. And it meant a lot to me to give that to him. And I know that coin is in his belongings. He was a real, and every time I met him, the first time I met him, he was so cool. He shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and said, "How you doing, man?" And it was so cool. But yeah, my grandpappy who played jazz piano, he grew that leafy substance. He used to grow it himself. And back then, in the late 50s, really the only people that were indulging that were, immigrants coming across the southern border, and jazz musicians in New Orleans, and jazz musicians in Chicago and D.C. They were indulging that in New York. I mean, it was the jazz musicians and artists who were doing that. And anyway, I think I talked about that before, but anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I want to convey the best, most genuine and sincere wishes for well-being for all of you. Tonight I'm going to go play at an open mic because I'm leaving Cocoa Beach and I'm moving up to northern Central Florida to a much safer place. I've heard unsubstantiated claims, and last night Show Me Baby did say something about it. Yeah, exactly. And now in D.C. in 2017, I have photographs of them. Yeah, I said that I grew. I had 20 plants. And I made canna butter and brownies. I was watching Red Dawn today. And I cried, man. The scene when Harry Dean Stanton was talking to his boys through the fence, and they had that re-education camp. Remember that? And he says, "Boys, avenge me. Avenge me." That's some truth right there, man. Red Dawn was a warning. It really was, man. It's a miracle that John Milius was able to make that movie. A lot of people in Hollywood did not like him. You know, he wrote the script for Apocalypse Now. I mean, he wrote the rough draft script. There's a guy here on YouTube, Collative Learning. He analyzes movies. He's in Great Britain. He's in the UK. He's got an over hour long analyzation of Red Dawn. You guys should check that out. It's really interesting, and it's just interesting to hear the point of view of Rob Ager. He's kind of almost libertarian, a little bit. I could be wrong, but it's interesting to hear somebody from the UK analyzing Red Dawn from somebody who is not an American, and he's got it right on. He's got it right on. But I mean, let's make it through this. You know the line in Full Metal Jacket when he says it's a huge shit sandwich and we're all going to have to take a bite. And that does mean that Ann-Margret's not coming. Ann-Margret's not coming, people. Get it? But on the Resistance radio in Red Dawn, when they're around the campfire and Leah Thompson is listening to the woman, and she says, the chair's against the wall. John has a long mustache. All right, I'm going to go. Love you.